Hello. Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Cities Mission Conference 2025. Harnessing City Successes, Advancing Climate Action for 2030. There are those moments and times that act like a guidepost in our lives. You all know them. Birthdays, anniversaries, the new year. Those moments and times that kind of offer a break from the daily routine and invite us to reflect. To reflect on the time that has passed, on the achievements that we have had, and maybe the dreams that are yet to be accomplished. And today is one of those moments in time. 3 years ago, many of us gathered together for the first time in Brussels, and the group was a bit smaller, but the ambition was already big. We set out on a mission to make 112 cities climate neutral and smart cities by 2030 and enable all European cities to follow suit by 2050. Back then, the idea was new, it was bold, and it was much needed. And today we meet again in the city of Vilnius, the European Green Capital of 2025. And the room has actually grown much bigger. The city's mission is no longer an idea, it has turned into a movement. But as much as we are changing, so is the world around us. There are geopolitical shifts, technological disruptions, and there are also changing the European agenda. The new Commission has a renewed focus on economic competitiveness and European security, and obviously the elections are also changing the contexts that you are operating in. And in these challenging times, we have ever more reason to focus on your strength. Because you are clearer than ever what it takes to really reach climate neutrality. Your collaborations have become stronger. Your strategies have become deeper. And almost all of you have reached your climate city contracts. So the preparation phase is behind us and we're entering a new phase. It's the phase of implementation. And to start this new phase, we are here to take a moment in time, to celebrate, to innovate, and to step into action. And none of this can be done alone. In all of this, we need each other, and that's also a power of the mission, collaboration and shared action. So over the next days, I invite you to make one thing your priority: real human connection. You will have plenty of opportunities to meet each other, so make sure in each coffee break to just speak to a new person and dare to ask difficult questions and give honest answers. Make sure to just not let those days pass by, but consciously take them in before we all go back to our offices. Because right here and right now is a moment in time where we can really realize that all the things that we are dreaming together, that we're talking about, and that we're doing together are nothing less but building the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible in healthy, sustainable, and beautiful cities all over Europe. My name is Katrina Moser. It is my great pleasure to guide you through the next 3 days as your master of ceremony, and I welcome you once more to the Cities Mission Conference 2025. As we are starting this day, I always like to take a conscious moment to just make sure that we all arrive here together well. Because we're all coming from all sorts of different situations, contexts. Some of you arrived yesterday, some of you might have just arrived today. You know, you might still have your head in all the things that you haven't managed to get finished before you came here. So let's just take a moment to actually give our minds, our bodies, and the hearts a moment to settle down and arrive here in this great building and with all the people that you're sitting here together with. So I always like to start this with our bodies, because that's usually the part that we forget about most if we're sitting together in a conference space. So I would invite you to just listen to some of the sensations that I will mention now. And if you can feel any of those sensations in your body as well, maybe just make it move for a second, okay? All right. So who of you would say that you feel there's something in your body that is still tired? I mean, it's Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock, it's okay, you can still be a bit tired. Is there anyone who would say, I still have something that's tired? Then maybe just roll your shoulders a bit, and maybe we can get a bit of light for the room so you can actually see yourselves. Just kind of very gently, it's not too embarrassing, it's really a very gentle movement. You can do that in a conference setting as well. So just to make sure that your body wakes up a bit. All right. And then let's go a bit deeper. Is there anything in your body where you would say it feels a bit stressed? I didn't manage to send that one important email, and there's that one thing I hope I find some time in the break to do that. I'm a bit stressed about that. Then maybe just give yourself a good stretch. You can stretch your arms, just make sure not to kick any of the neighbors. Can be a nice icebreaker, but doesn't have to be. Okay, good, good. And then who are the people who feel a bit jittery? The ones who are like, I can't sit still 3 days, that feels uncomfortable. Now is your moment to stand up for, like the last time, for the next 2 hours. Yeah, no one's like, thank you. The daring one's like, yeah, I want to move. Great, give yourself a good stretch. You can also shake your arms a bit and just move your body. You can yawn. Now is the last time also to yawn where it's not unpolite, okay? All right, and then who of you would say, I actually feel quite calm? Then maybe just take a good deep breath. Okay, just to make sure that our bodies have arrived now, let's move on to our hearts. Yeah, I know, also not exactly what we usually focus on at conferences, but our hearts are important. They make up a lot of who we are. We can keep the light, it's fine. So if this applies to you, maybe just take your hand and touch your heart. Who of you would say, I feel there's something in me that is curious? Curious about what I'm going to experience here, about the people who are sitting next to me. I don't want to be staring at them too much, but I'm curious here. All right. Who of you would say there's something in you that feels grateful? Maybe grateful to be here, not in the office, grateful to travel to Vilnius, to share this together. I can see a few of your hands. And then who of you would say, there's something in me that feels proud? Proud of all the things that I have accomplished, the work that I have done, then maybe touch your heart as well. Okay, yeah. It's not that easy to show that as well. And now let's move on from our bodies and our hearts to our brains. And let's just see what are the thoughts that are present right now. And if you agree to that, you can just touch your head. Okay. This is a lot of people in this room right now. And what was the name of the person that I just spoke to? Will they have gluten-free lunch options? I hope she's not going to make us interact more. I didn't see any of the hands. I take that as a sign. I hope she is going to make us interact more. I see a few hands. I like that. I'm looking forward to what I'm going to experience and hear here today and in the next days. Good. I see a few of the hands. And now that you have arrived here yourself, let's just quickly have a look at who we have in the room here today. Maybe just a quick sign. Who's at the Cities Mission Conference for the first time? Oh, quite a lot. Okay. And just briefly to see where you are coming from, what is your background? Who are the ones who are from the European institutions? So quite crucial to actually, yes, I love it when people are like super proud, like, yes, this is what I'm coming from. And just showing that these are the ones who are actually enabling a lot of this. Who are the ones who are from private sector, maybe financial institutions? Okay, yeah, a bit more timid if you get handed business cards from all areas now. Don't be surprised. Where is the Net Zero Cities team that has put a lot of work into actually enabling this. All right. Who are the mission projects? Yes, I see lots of hands as well. And then obviously, who are the city representatives? Yes, lots of hands going up. And just to double check, because I've observed that the city representatives usually gather within their cities. Anyone sitting not with their own city colleagues? Yeah, the daring ones. Good, you know, you're invited to also mingle with others. That's also fine. Any of you who's like, I don't belong to any of those criteria, but I don't need a box to belong, okay? It's also good to have you here with us. And maybe just as a kind of, if you can show me with a scale of your hand, from your hand kind of down here to your hand up here. As I said, we're here also to celebrate. So who of you would say, like, how big is your celebratory mood right now? If it's down here, it's a bit like, yeah, you know, you can imagine myself with this tiny party hat and a toot, a kind of solo candle burning, but it's like, it's not that big. Okay. And then up here is a bit more like, yeah, no, I think I've got a good reason to be proud and to celebrate right now. I baked myself a good cake and I'm happy to share that with my colleagues. And up here is like, I have the reason to throw the party of the century. It's going to be legendary and we're going to be partying for 3 days without sleep. Where do you see yourself? Okay. At least a few of the hands are up here. Let's see how we're going to change that in the upcoming days. Usually you have to wait until the end of an event to have the party, but I'm quite happy to see that we have a bit of celebratory mood in the audience here right now already, because it's a huge part of why we're here is really to celebrate the successes, how cities are shifting from pilots to full-scale implementation. So let's get it started with a look at the mission cities and what we're actually celebrating here today.
Cities are the heart of the solution. Congratulations to every city working towards a climate-neutral future.
So after this beautiful compilation of cities, let's remember the city that we're in here right now. So it's my great pleasure to welcome us in the city of Vilnius and to open the Cities Mission Conference 2025, to welcome on stage the mayor of Vilnius, Valdas Benkunskas.
commissioners, mayors, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Vilnius, a city of contracts, creativity, and continuous renovation. It is really great honor to host you all here to the Cities Mission Conference 2025, the largest gathering of mission cities to date and one that marks an important milestone on our collective path toward climate neutrality. This event is a celebration of our progress, a spark of new ideas, and a symbol of the shared journey we are on. Vilnius is proud to be recognized as the European Green Capital 2025, a title that reflects not only our achievements, but also our commitments. Our slogan, "The greenest city in the making," is not just a promise, but an honest acknowledgement that the journey is ongoing. We are not perfect, but we are determined. Cities are not only where Europeans live, they are where the future is being shaped. Responsible for the 70% of global CO2 emissions, where cities carry a profound responsibility in the fight against climate change. But we are also hold the greatest potential. Cities are our innovation labs, our economical engines, and the places where change is both visible and measurable. If Europe is to become climate neutral, definitely it is cities that will lead the way, and not only by declarations alone, but by delivering results that matter. Over the next 3 days, we will exchange ideas, learn from each other's successes, and strengthen the partnership that help our cities move forward, together across Europe and beyond. Let's seize this unique moment to connect across borders, to inspire each other, and to accelerate the change our cities still need. Thank you for being the part of this shared mission. May your time in Vilnius spark new ideas, strong partnership, and lasting impact. Have a meaningful time here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and I welcome on stage next the Deputy Manager for the Climate Neutral and Smart Cities Mission from the DG Research and Innovation from the European Commission, Philippe François, together with the Mayor of Leuven and the Chair of the Mission Mayors Advisory Group, Mohamed Ridwani.
Yesterday, a colleague of mine sent me a picture of the venue saying, "This is huge." And I can confirm from my perspective, Alexandra, this is indeed very huge. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends of the Cities Mission, I would like to wish you good morning. And I would like to welcome you to this 4th edition of the annual conference of the Climate Neutral and Smart Cities Mission. First of all, I'd like to thank the Mayor of Vilnius for hosting us today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. Thank you very much for him and for his team. Also, that will give us the opportunity to visit and admire your beautiful city. When we started the mission, we had the first annual conference, as Katrina mentioned, in Brussels. That was in 2022. But the mission actually started well before that. It actually started in 2019 with the publication of the Commission of the draft of Horizon Europe, the Framework Program for Research and Innovation, where there was, in the draft proposal, the concept of the mission. But I have to say to you that it was not much more than a concept at that stage. But thanks to the work of the mission board, and I can acknowledge their contribution because most of them are in the room today, we worked through this concept, this first initial concept, and we developed an objective for the city's mission that was very clear, that was very simple, but that was very ambitious. And that objective was to have 100 climate-neutral cities in the EU by 2030. So with the Commission services, we worked through the implementation plan of this city's mission. We launched the mission platform with the selection of the Net Zero Cities Consortium. We launched a call for expression of interest. We selected the first cities that were part of the mission, the 100 cities, 112 to be exact, that were selected through the hundreds of applications that we received. And we did that just in time for the first conference in Brussels in 2022. That first conference was actually quite fun. It was an interesting event where there was a lot of enthusiasm and energy from the cities and the city practitioners and the city representatives that were part in this event. I think little they knew about the work ahead of them, because most of the work had to start after the first conference in Brussels, which was the preparation of the dreaded climate city contract. So I'm really grateful for all of you that have prepared and spent time and energy in the preparation of the climate city contracts. And once again, I was quite impressed by the energy and the dynamism of the cities, because very quickly a core group of cities came up with their first draft climate city contracts. And by the end of 2023, we were already allowed and able to award a number of mission labels to those cities. There was a first batch of 10 cities in 2023, and then in 2024, we had 2 more batches of cities that came forward and that were awarded with the mission label. Today, as we speak, we have 53 cities that have received the mission label. Basically, half of the cities that are participating in the mission have already received the mission label, which is an acknowledgement of the work that they have put through in their climate plan and in their investment plan. But tomorrow, we will have another event for awarding mission labels, and a much larger group of cities will actually be awarded with the mission label. I'm actually not allowed to tell you what these cities are and how many they are, because there is an embargo that will last till tomorrow lunchtime before the press release of the Commission, but I will just tell you that it is a big number, which is basically between 38 and 40. So if you can count, you know that by the end of tomorrow, we will have more than 90 cities that have actually received the mission label of the Commission. And that is a huge achievement. And that achievement is actually thanks to you, to the transition team in your cities, to the city advisors, to the mission platform, and for the review part, I should also acknowledge the contribution of our colleagues from the Joint Research Centers, the European Investment Bank, the Mission Board, of course, as well as all of my colleagues from the Mission Honor Group in the Commission services. So we are halfway done the implementation of the mission, but the most difficult part starts now with the development or the deployment of the solutions that you have identified in your climate city contracts. Let's face it, the next phase of the mission will be challenging because it will require more than your determination. It will require, for instance, at all levels of the governance system, at local level, of course, at national, at regional, and at European level, a strong commitment and support to unlock funding and address regulatory issues. We will also work towards having a greater investment and support from the private sector and from the citizens, which are essential to roll out the investment plan for the city's mission. So a conference like the conference we have today, it's not only an opportunity to look at the past and to rejoice or to exchange good practices, it's also an opportunity to develop a strategy for the future. And I'm very happy to see that there will be many discussions and many sessions today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, where you will be able to discuss the future strategy of the Climate Neutral and Smart Cities mission. In the meantime, I think that you should rest assured that the Commission will support you, the city's mission, in their path, in the road towards climate neutrality by 2030. And we will make sure also that we identify a solution forward for sustaining the city's mission beyond the current multi-annual financial framework. So I'm looking very much forward to the sessions that will take place during this conference so that we can move confidently towards the next step of the evaluation of the implementation of the city's mission. And on these very positive notes, I would like to thank you for your attention. I would like to wish you a very successful event, and I would like to pass the floor back to Katrina. Thank you very much.
Good morning to you all, Mr. Mayor. I'm so happy to be here with these people in your beautiful city of Vilnius. Thank you for having us here. It's my honor to stand here as the Mayor of Leuven, but also as the chairman of the so-called Mayor's Advisory Board to the mission. And I see this room filled with committed and involved people, engaged people that want to get it done. And we all are here because we want to make that little bit of difference. That's what we want. We envision that progress, and we work so hard to make it happen. As was said, the mission cities all work hard to draw up their own climate contracts, and they're doing what they can to make it move towards implementation. That's, of course, what matters. So what's next? I think we also have to admit that it's not always a walk in the park, this implementation. I don't think I say something new. In my city, I have so many great people, some of them are here, that work together in our platform, which is called Leuven 2030. And I can tell you it takes, like all of you, a lot of hard work, perseverance, innovation, and sometimes some tears to make that progress. We have in our climate contract in Leuven, we have built it around 86 breakthrough projects that account for the most of the progress that we want to see in terms like, or areas like mobility, energy, water management, you know, all the domains, materials, and it amounts for more than 1 billion euros of investment. And there you have the elephant in the room. Funding, finance. My team has developed a so-called model where we approach these investments with a portfolio approach, where of course the city does some funding, where we look at Europe for direct funding, our national government, but where we also look at the private sector. We have bundled, let's say, low-risk projects with a lot of return, with high-risk projects and low return, so that you get interesting projects that we can offer to the private sector, and I think we can move well in that direction. But there is a big but. We work also together with the EIB, the European Investment Bank, and that moves well. But my main message to the European Investment Bank is, please help us, the cities, to make the projects succeed, because not all projects are bankable, not all projects are profitable, but we need them and they are crucial. So the EIB, in my opinion, should be a real climate bank, a European climate bank for cities, so that we can also fund the high-risk projects that are not always easy to fund, and that's the way we can convince the private sector. Ladies and gentlemen, over the coming days, we will present to you a Leuven position paper that, in fact, makes two things possible, combines two things. On the one hand, our lessons learned, our experiences, combined with the European priorities around security, resilience, competitiveness, and we provide answers to that. I would invite all of you, cities, to support that paper, to subscribe to that paper, add your experiences and your input, so we can speak as one, speak with one voice towards Europe, and show that cities is the place where European values and vision meets action, and that we are the real partners to make it done. We will present this paper to you, and I hope you can support it. I want to conclude with the message that I believe that climate action goes hand in hand with European priorities like security, economy, and resilience, and that we can meet these concerns, and we can meet them locally by being determined, by working together, by being innovative. At a deeper level, I believe that we should approach this always based on our European values, which means our approach should be based on empathy, enhancement of trust amongst our citizens and employees, based on respect for democracy, inclusion. And I believe these values are not old-fashioned. They are urgently needed today in our shattered world, and they are part of our unique European tale. So, ladies and gentlemen, as the saying goes, yesterday is gone, tomorrow has not yet come, we have only today, so let's begin. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those opening remarks. It is quite true we only have today, and yet there is quite a lot that has already happened yesterday and the days and years before when the city's mission already existed. So we're going to start this opening conversation now with actually looking at some of the highlights of what has happened in the past years. And for this, I would like to welcome on stage to guide you through this conversation the Program Director of Net Zero Cities. Please welcome on stage Thomas Ostober.
Good morning, everybody. Great to see you, although I can't see very well standing up here. I'm not going to take a lot of time. This is the cities conference. We want to hear from the cities and allow the cities to talk with each other about their work. And the idea with this first session, which we could literally have be the whole conference, is to hear from some of the cities who've been working quite aggressively to implement the actions that they've had underway and have been developing as part of the mission. We all know very well cities have been real leaders in climate action for much longer than the last 3 years when they were identified as mission cities. So they've been doing work all along, but now as they're implementing their work in support of the climate neutral objectives of the mission and the ambition that goes with that, we're hoping to learn a lot from the work that they're doing. One of the keys to that is to get as tangible and specific about the work as possible. We've had already some great remarks from elected leaders and from Philippe talking about the high-level ambition and the messages that we're trying to deliver, the objectives that we're pursuing. But to really bring that to life, we want to bring in some specific examples of work that's going through the cities as we speak. And certainly we want to celebrate that success, but we also want to use that to help inform the work that is in front of us. So with that, I'm going to introduce the three city representatives. It could have been any one of you. So we had to make some tough choices in who we brought up for this first session. We have lots of sessions, of course, over the next 3 days to hear from as many of you as possible. So I'll invite all three of them up at the same time, and then we'll go through a brief panel discussion and have some exchanges, and then we'll pick it up from there. So without further ado, the panelists are Deputy Mayor Sofia Ferreira. She's the Deputy Mayor for Environment and Climate Action in the municipality of Guimarães in Portugal. Deputy Mayor, thank you. Deputy Mayor Annalisa Boni from Bologna. She's the Vice Chair of the city's Mission Mayors Advisory Group. And also serves as a coordinator for the Italian mission cities, in addition to her roles with the Commune di Bologna. And then the third is Heather Mack, who's the Deputy Leader for Bristol City Council. So I'm going to move over there and we'll get started with the conversation. Okay, this is working too. No tech problems. Great, start. All right, Sophia, we've asked you to go first. Gimenez has worked hard on its Climate City contract and has been really working very diligently to build upon some work that you've done as part of the Mission's Pilot City program. And now you're translating that into more expanded and scaling activities, including working very aggressively with businesses and industry in your city. If you could just share some of your experiences and the work, how it's progressed, what you've observed about the work, and so on.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you. I'd like to thank Net Zero Cities for inviting me to this section. It's a pleasure to share the panel with my colleagues from Bristol and from Bologna. And I also wanted to express my appreciation to the Mayor of Vilnius for graciously hosting us and congratulate the city on being named the European Green Capital 2025. Well, when we talk about building sustainable cities, it's easy to focus on big ideas. But the real change starts small, in specific place with concrete actions and strong communities. And that's exactly what we are doing, or what we are trying to do in Guimarães. In 2026, Guimarães will be the European Green Capital. And we are also proud to be one of the 100 cities working towards climate neutrality to 2030. And our climate city contract is well underway, and we have launched a climate city pact that has already been subscribed of over 120 stakeholders. We are actively engaging both the private and sports sectors to join to our climate city contract, recognizing their vital role in achieving our climate goals. With approximately 90% for our emissions originating from industry and mobility, strong collaboration with the private sector is essential. Together, we were building a resilient, low-carbon future for our city. But these goals only have meaning if they lead to real transformation on the ground. We work with citizens, we work with the institutions, and with the other cities. In Portugal, for example, we work Porto, Guimarães, and Lisbon, the three Portuguese cities. The three Portuguese cities which are the European City Mission, we create a network with another Portuguese cities, the Cities for Climate, and we work with 35, 40 another Portuguese cities to share practice, to work together, to learn, because we believe we need to be a part of, to make to make the difference and to make the transformation.
Thanks very much. We'll hear more from you in a few minutes. Thanks. And And it's been sitting in my chair, it's been very heartening to hear the work that Guimarães has been undertaking to work with their businesses and to drive this work across the city. So next we're going to hear from Heather, who's going to talk a little bit about the work in Bristol that they're doing around finance and capital planning and capital deployment. So we'll hear from you, Heather.
Great, thank you. And I want to thank Vilnius for being fabulous hosts of this Cities Mission Conference. And I'm really excited to get to know the city as the Green European Capital. It's been 10 years since my city of Bristol was the Green European Capital, and I've seen remarkable changes in Bristol in that time. So I think it's a really good opportunity to expand your climate work. We entered the city's mission with a clear city-wide climate strategy that focused on a framework for how we were going to reach carbon neutrality and climate resilience. And this was supported by 20 significant partners across the city, which really reflects how Bristol works in a very collaborative manner. Those partners worked on a climate action and investment plan that has 26 specific actions and 9 billion euros. And I think it's really helpful for us to know that our significant partners in the city are working alongside us and backing us with our climate action. Bristol led the way in declaring a climate emergency in 2018. And I think we've set ambitious targets for climate neutrality around that, and that's based on our delivery of energy infrastructure. In 10 years, we've invested 100 million euros of mostly of public money in our energy infrastructure, and that was supported by the EU ALENA project. To expand and accelerate on this work and on this delivery of infrastructure, we created a public and private partnership. Bristol City Leap was launched in January 2023 and aims to have 500 million euros of mostly private investment in the first 5 years. It's already delivering solar, heat pumps, heat networks, energy efficiency measures, and creating hundreds of local jobs. City Leap uses council land and buildings as a lever for private investment. So it really helps bring in that private funding. But we know we needed to innovate faster to reach our carbon neutrality goals, so we applied to be a net zero pilot city. The funding from that pilot project is helping us look at more and different ways to bring in finance, and I'm going to talk about just a couple. The first is the Community Municipal Investment Scheme, where our residents are able to lend money to towards our climate action work and receive a competitive rate of return. It's been incredibly successful, and in 2 months we've raised nearly 900,000 euros, and we're looking to increase our limit to meet the demand for that fund. The second project is the Net Zero Impact Investment Fund, where our regional partners are focusing on private investment. We aim and we hope that during the Net Zero pilot, we will have raised 50 million euros towards that, with a total target of 120 million euros of private investment. As a net zero mission city, we're hoping to build on all of this work and specifically increase community participation and leadership. In our climate action work, we want to make sure that citizens are at the heart and are shaping and helping us deliver a just transition, especially when we're looking at new ways of using public-private partnerships and ensuring that our communities are protected in all of the work that we do around that. As a mission city, we aim to reach and do our net zero work faster and better and fairer. And I'm really excited to be here and have this opportunity to learn from all the cities that are innovating and shaping the net zero work in all sorts of creative ways.
Thanks very much, Heather. And I think what's notable about that is not only the scale of resources that you've been mobilizing, both public and private, and now increasingly from citizens as well, it's the diversity that's so critical to building, I think, a robust and sustainable capital approach to financing the transition overall. So I think that's very exciting. We'll come back and hear from you a little bit more again. Annalisa, Bologna's been, as long as I've been in Europe, Bologna's been a city that's been very active in leading around things like citizen engagement and innovation around governance and having conversations out in the open. And I think you've been, with the mission, really continuing to explore new ways of engaging, new policy and governance tools and strategies to help the city engage not only with its citizens and businesses, but also to engage up with regional and national government. If you'd like to share some of your experiences in that regard.
Sure. First of all, again, thank you to the Mayor of Vilnius, thank you to the fantastic team of the European Commission, the army of Net Zero City, because there are so many and great, and also to all of you. We don't see a thing, but we know that you are there, we can feel, and it's really important that, we don't feel alone. I have to really say that, knowing that we are 112 and we continue this work, which is not a walk in the park, as Mohammed said, is really nice. So yes, governance, for sure. I mean, like right at this moment, the city board, so the deputy mayors, the vice mayor, and my mayor are discussing like every Tuesday. They approve, we approve acts and so on. And today, this morning, while I'm here, they are approving a deliberation that is basically recognizing that is monitoring what we have accepted from the proposals of the Citizens' Assembly on Climate. Okay, so our Climate City contract, and for this I'm really proud, our Climate City contracts includes a lot of stakeholders. So we have 24 partners that have been able to quantify all the sort of actions in terms of CO2 reduction, production of green energy, but also of course financial investments, and also over 80 supporters. But we also have inside the contracts many proposals by the Citizens' Assembly on Climate that was, that worked for a few months last year to deliver these proposals to the City Council. And it's an assembly that is, a lot of citizens' assemblies exist across Europe. Ours, I think I'm very happy about ours because it's really something structural. We have changed our statutes as municipality to integrate this permanent body, like we have the City Council or the City Board. There's also the Citizens' Assembly that can be activated by 5,000 inhabitants or by the majority of councillors. And the one on climate was activated, let's call it like that, last year, and they were paid to work. They deliberated and they proposed a lot of things to the City Council. We discussed them and so on. And 1 year after, this morning, we are putting on the table the actions that, for now, we have been able to deliver. So I think this is, like things that, by the way, thanks to the Assembly, but also thanks to the mission itself, because the mission, I think, has to be seen as a game changer, as the card you play to basically do those things that you wouldn't have done, or you wouldn't have been able to do, or you would have done much more, slower. So, agreements with the banks, new and innovative public procurement things, plenty of changing your urban master plans with more strict rules for climate neutrality. So things that are very concrete and that, because you had the mission, you were, in a way, we have to do it. We have the right excuse. So in terms of governance, of course, the Assembly has helped us to really bring in the sort of input of real people, not like representatives only. We are representatives of citizens because there has been elections, but on the other side, these are individual people that have gone through a journey, that have understood things, that have formed informed opinions, and they have given us, proposals and things to do. So this is for sure governance at the local level, and then Climate City contracts governance, we all do them, so I guess we have all the same sort of way of working around that. But also governance, I think, not only horizontally speaking in our urban ecosystem, but also, vertically speaking. And that's, it's an element of the mission, again, that we have to use as a card, that we wouldn't use in the same way. We have to use that to also to put pressure on the regional level, on the national level. The European level is the best, There's been the Green Deal, there's been the mission, there's been so many things that have enabled then to go down to the national level, but then it's the national level that has to basically do the job and do the homework and help us to basically make these, let's say, European standards happen and a reality. And for that, thanks to also working with my colleagues, the other 8 cities, so Rome, Prato, Florence, ourselves, Parma, Padova, Bergamo, Milano, Torino, all of us, we are really becoming a community of practice and of politics that really tries to put pressure on the national level. And we are continuing. And we thank also Net Zero Cities for supporting a little bit us in this endeavor, which is not easy because, anyway, it means also a transformation of their governance, because they have to be able to work among themselves in terms of interministerial, cooperation and so on. But okay, baby steps will get to maybe adolescent, teenaging, and maybe adult life. So that's it.
Thanks very much, Annalise, and I'll come back on that a little bit in a moment as well. I think one of the things we heard from all 3 here is the importance of really putting people and citizens in the center of the work that they're doing, keeping it very visible, and engaging them as directly as possible in the discussion, in the work, and in some cases actually taking ownership for setting some of the direction, or at least making recommendations in that regard. And I think another aspect of making it as accessible and tangible and inclusive for citizens as well is something we're seeing across many of the cities in the mission, which is really prioritizing some place-based strategies, looking at particular neighborhoods, particular districts, where you're really trying to accelerate, using it not just to pilot and test, but to actually scale the activity that we're doing. And Sophia, I think you've been working in an exciting project that you call District C, so we want to share some thoughts with us on that.
Yes, I'll try. We have the District C. It's a project, it's a pilot project promoted by the Net Zero Cities. And it is a way to test ideas, to bring people together, and to show that change is possible. That's why District C is so important for us. It's an area that used to be deeply psyched by whole industries, like leather and textiles industries, that helped build the city, but also left pollution and challenge behind. Today, we are giving this district a new life. We turned old factory buildings into places to innovation, science, and research. The universities works there. We created solutions to protect the environment and improve our capacity to sequester carbon emissions through our green belt. And we are creating our first energy community. We also encouraged soft mobility, waste valorization, circular economy, and local food market to make healthier and more connected communities. But what really makes District C special is the way citizens are involved. And we are not just building green infrastructures, we are building a sense of belonging. Citizens help us shape the strategies through assemblies, placemaking projects, and open platforms. The Citizen Assembly program is a 1-hour pilot, uses a participatory budgeting strategies with citizens. The program empowers citizens to propose and vote on projects for municipality funding. Through participatory processes, residents influence how public funds are allocated, particularly for initiatives that address sustainability and local environmental challenge. As an example, 4 new proposals were approved in early 2025 for implementation in District C, which is one of the main neighbors' targets for climate action and transformation. The projects aim to improve public space, enhance mobility, circular economy, energy efficiency and green areas, while increasing community engagement, sustainable practices. This bottom-up strategies is essential if you want a real transformation. District C shows that pilots are not the end goal, they are the starting point. We are learning from that works and from what doesn't, so that we can spread these solutions across all city. For us, sustainability is not about isolated projects. It's about changing how we think, how we live, and how we connect with our environment and with each other. We are combining science, culture, and community to make the transformation real. And through District C, we are proving that when citizens are part of the process, when innovation is local and inclusive, cities really can lead the way. And you, all of you, are all welcome to visit Guimarães next year during European Green Capital to discover our good practice, to share, to learn with each other, and to visit our fantastic town. Thank you, and we hope to see all you next year in Guimarães.
Thanks very much. So Heather, in addition to the work that you've been doing around financing and mobilizing capital, I think one of the things that I've noted when I first came and spoke with your team in Bristol is the degree to which you're working not only within the City Council but with regional partners, as well as taking advantage of resources and support at the national level. Could you talk a little bit about how how you've been able to put those pieces together?
So I wanted to mention that the innovation we're currently doing around finance also supported by the UK agency, Innovate UK. And we work on a regional level. We've got a regional authority that has a focus on economic development, but also environment. And so there are regional partners, especially focusing on this fund to look at the decarbonisation needs across that region and bring in partners to look at that bigger picture, because the city of Bristol, we've got right next door the city of Bath and the sort of regional area, and as often is the case with our city boundaries, don't really cover the communities that interact and the businesses that interact with our city. So it is really important for us to be working outside of that area.
And Annalisa, in Bologna, and you mentioned all the other cities working together and just how important it is for the cities to work together to engage with the national government. And of course, many of us know you because of your work with Eurocities and as a city's mission board member before rolling up your sleeves and getting to work in Bologna. As you think about the implementation ahead for the city of Bologna, what will be some of the things that you anticipate 3 to 5 years from now you'll be able to look back and say, okay, these were real drivers, these were real moments where we took a step forward? I think listening to you talk about the Citizen Assembly and the investment in capacity building and understanding is one example, but I'm curious how you would think about that as you look at the path in front of you.
First of all, let's see if I arrive alive in 5 years. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that we can put on the table. I mean, one thing I'm really like starting to see and touch is the way of working. You know, when I arrived to Bologna and I had this mission to bring the mission on the ground, you know, I thought, okay, we follow this process and so on. We will have to, you know, apply things, but I mean, the main barrier, the main, I would say, issue to be confronted with is really the cultural issue. Yeah, so this idea of also working in a different way, which the mission again helps you to try and experiment and push beyond, put your dreams over the gate, as we say in Italian. So it was really like saying, okay, you have to work more systemically, which always sounds like a theoretical thing, but you can actually starting to see how this is working out. So as I said before, we had to change the urban master plan and the building regulation. To do that, there was a huge cooperation inside the administration between sectors that had to basically fight and say, I want this, I want that, no, this is too much, this is too, and really it created a new type of relationship between the different departments that before were there, these relationships, but they weren't, a relationship of trust, or even, they've become even a conflict and open conflict relations, but at least it's, they know that they have to engage with each other. They can't be doing things in their own department alone without involving the others. So that's a very important element. Even thinking of programming tools, like in terms of strategic programming tools, which are, clearly horizontal, how to insert, how to introduce the mission in these tools, it's been really a change in culture. We are not there. Again, it's baby steps, but I think changing the administration and changing the way we work with the, with the other stakeholders and so on is something that I will look back with interest. And that's why, for me, we, as a group, and as, for having put so much, I don't want to say blood, because but energy into this, it's something that we have to use to go up another gear, yeah? To evolve, and even at the European level, we should make the most of this, in a way of working that we have tested inside the administrations, because the climate city contracts are not your general pact or your, traditional energy and climate strategy or action plan. It's something different. And so how can we make sure that the legacy of that in the climate sector, first of all, survives and stays on, even when politicians change and so on, and that, these kind of alliances can also survive and live and, really go even on their own, not with the municipality always leading the way, but also that we can apply, for instance, city contracts to other big challenges that are as transversal, as complex as climate, like housing or, other things. So imagine you could have housing city contracts that the European Union could see as a way to, again, empower cities to do the work that they have to do. So working together with other, institutions, with private partners, with the civil society, citizens, but by, having all one mission, one target, one objective that is, shared.
Great, thanks so much. Well, I know that one of the things we're doing here this morning before we get to have our coffee break is thank the panelists for their remarks and take them through the rest of the 3 days here together, some of the insights, some of the messages. So thanks again very much. So we have a couple more things to do yet before we hit the coffee break. So I'm going to start by welcoming Olga Cordes from KTH University in Stockholm and one of the leaders of Viable Cities in Sweden, up to give an update on something. Those of you who were in Valencia last year remember a number of cities came together and we built up a declaration called the Valencia Development Declaration. And she's going to get an update on what's happened with that over the last year. So welcome, Olga.
Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen and colleagues, you know there is a saying that if you want to go far, go yourself, and if you want to go fast, go yourself. But if you want to go far, go together. And this is very much in line with the spirit of the mission that 112 cities together are working towards climate neutrality to show the way to many more cities. But the cities cannot do it themselves without support. And they need to have support on the national level and on the European level. And that's why 7 cities from Spain, mission cities, and 7 cities from Sweden, supported by national platforms of Spain, Cities 2030, and Viable Cities, we together drafted this declaration, which is called now Development Declaration to Scale the Mission, or also Valencia Declaration, as it was presented the first time for 1 year ago. This declaration is basically saying that cities are supporting the mission, but we also highlight the need to scale the mission and also to have some action areas to make the mission a success. About the scaling the mission, just to remind you that we're talking about replication, that to have shiny pilots and projects is not enough. We need to replicate those good solutions, and we also need to have more cities on board, not least through the national platforms. We are also highlighting the need to scale up through regulations and to make city important actors to provide the knowledge for regulations and policy development, and also scaling deep, meaning that we need to have mind shifts and also work very seriously with just transition. So about those 12 areas, so those are different areas from saying that European Commission needs to show even more commitment and even more stronger leadership in supporting the cities. It's also about funding and financing. It's about breaking silos and collaboration between different sectors and different institutions. And not least that we need to work more on integration of climate mitigation and climate adaptation. So by today, close to 60 cities and national platforms supported and endorsed the declaration. Thank you, all of you, for that. And then these are from Vilnius to Guimarães, from Leuven to Bologna. And basically, Valencia Declaration, so now it's also handed out to a European Commission, and it's a call from, it's a voice from cities calling European Commission to step up, to show even stronger leadership in order to support the leading cities who can light the way and path to all cities in Europe, because together we can go far. And in this case, we can go far towards climate-neutral Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga, and everyone who's worked on that. We'll acknowledge them more formally, but I want to put in the plug for ICLEI, one of the Net Zero partners who's been leading on planning this conference, and I'd like to invite up the ICLEI Europe Regional Director, Wolfgang Tübner.
Thank you, Thomas. Good morning, everybody. Yes, As Thomas already said, we had the honor and pleasure to organize this event on behalf of the Net Zero Cities team. And in that function, I would also like to thank again the mayor of Vilnius and his team, as well as the mission team, for the great collaboration on this journey. I mean, you, particularly the cities, have embarked on a long, ambitious, and sometimes challenging journey. And as on any long journey, you're meeting challenges, and you have these moments of frustration, tiredness, or doubt, where you need this extra shot of motivation and power that we all, of course, need potentially today to go through a 3-day conference. And who can do this better than our next speaker? Unfortunately, he cannot be with us in person and raise his powerful voice to all of us, but I would warmly welcome the former Vice President of the United States, Nobel Prize for Peace winner, Mr. Al Gore.
Greetings, everyone. I'm so glad to be joining you today, and I want to thank the EU Cities Mission for leading this high-ambition coalition of cities. I also want to thank the city of Vilnius for hosting this great conference, as well as the Net Zero Cities team and ICLE for so strongly supporting this effort. I have a tremendous amount of respect and appreciation for everyone participating in the EU Cities mission, particularly the elected officials and members of city governments who are dedicating a significant amount of time and energy to pursuing a net zero future. Thank you. You, perhaps more than most, have come to understand the consequences of our failure to act on the climate crisis. Local leaders are among the first responders when the so-called rain bombs and stronger storm surges overwhelm local infrastructure, or when extreme heat puts your most vulnerable populations at higher risk. And that is why you're also among the most dedicated and determined leaders taking climate action into your own hands. And that's especially important when leadership at the national level falters in some countries. Your voices are some of the most important in this global movement. Thank you again. The climate crisis, of course, is the existential threat of our lifetimes. We need to act, and we need to act quickly. And yet global emissions have continued to rise, and as a result, so have the impacts of this crisis been getting significantly worse. Last year was the hottest year ever recorded, and humanity suffered some of its costliest climate-related extreme weather events, fueled by the warming planet. Over the last decade, and by the way, the 10 hottest years ever measured have been the last 10 years, but over those 10 years, these extreme events have cost more than $3.5 trillion. That's an increase of almost $800 billion over the previous decade, and the increase is not linear, it seems to be exponential. And in Europe, you've seen these impacts firsthand, and no wonder. Europe is the fastest warming continent. In fact, it's getting hotter in Europe at twice the global average rate, leading to more extreme heat, drought, wildfires, and the other consequences. The hotter oceans are evaporating more moisture into the air, and warmer air can hold a lot more water vapor. And that's why we get these incredibly huge atmospheric rivers. The average atmospheric river is now has as much water as 90 Danube rivers. And that leads, of course, to the rain bombs, the bigger downpours and massive flooding events, like the one we saw in Valencia, Spain last year that killed at least 217 people. And we've seen them in countries all around the world. Almost 500,000 people across Europe were affected by storms and flooding just in the last year. Extreme weather events are displacing people all around the world. And as temperatures rise, along with humidity, the combination of higher heat and higher humidity are expanding the regions of the world that are physiologically unlivable. Those regions are relatively small now, but they're due to expand dramatically in the next couple of decades unless we take quick action. In 2024, the number of people worldwide who were forced to flee the places they've always called home because of extreme weather was the highest in 16 years. The respected Lancet Commission in London estimates that if we allow this to continue and temperatures continue to rise with humidity, we could see as many as 1 billion climate migrants by the end of this century. Luckily, there is good news. The global economy is definitely in the early stages of a sustainability revolution that is happening at the scale of the Industrial Revolution and the speed of the digital revolution. It's reshaping the world, transforming our relationship to businesses, to the environment, and to each other. The astonishing cost reduction curves for clean electricity from solar and from wind, from batteries, and the technologies of electric vehicles and hundreds of less well-known but dramatic efficiency-improving technologies are already profoundly reshaping the economics of sustainability. You know, renewable electricity last year made up 93% of all of the new electricity capacity installed worldwide in 2024. And Europe is a leader in the clean energy transition. 2024 was the second year in a row that in Europe, wind generated more electricity than methane gas. It was the first year in the EU that solar generated more electricity than coal. And renewables generated almost half, 47% of all electricity production in the EU last year, and that's another new record. And it's not just renewables. We're seeing the sustainability revolution rapidly take hold across the rest of the global economy, from transportation to regenerative agriculture to manufacturing and new models and so much more. We don't need to wait for some silver bullet to solve the global challenges facing humanity. We have the solutions we need right now. We can take action today. And the global shift towards sustainability and climate solutions is unstoppable. It's as if, in my opinion, there's a big wheel moving in the right direction and some little wheels moving in the wrong direction, in the opposite way. But our direction of travel is very clear, and that is why you all are here today. You're part of that big wheel that's moving in the right direction. You're part of the biggest emergent social movement in all of human history. To make meaningful progress in the face of the climate crisis, every level of government needs to be focused on and committed to reducing greenhouse gas pollution. I know that one of the challenges local leaders can face is the lack of a clear and comprehensive set of data on where the greenhouse gas pollution is coming from. What are the sources within your jurisdictions? There's an old saying in business that you can only manage what you can measure. And because greenhouse gases are invisible to the human eye, colorless and odorless, it's difficult for policymakers sometimes to see the actual sources of the problem that they're confronting. Well, an organization that I've co-founded called Climate Trace harnesses artificial intelligence to gather and analyze data constantly from more than 300 satellites and 30,000 sensors based on sea, air, and land, and from many other public and commercial data sets to pinpoint precisely where these emissions are actually coming from. We have the largest 660 million sites in great detail. Who owns them? Who's operating them? Are the emissions going up or going down? At COP29 late last year, we unveiled emissions inventories for 9,000 cities all around the world. We also have every state and province, every county, every nation in the world, every sector and subsector of the global economy, and all of the 660 million individual point source emission sites. And we're now releasing data not only annually, but every month with only a 60-day lag. That level of specificity and timeliness can help you see exactly where your policies are having an impact and actually reducing emissions. All of this data is free. All of it's publicly available right now at climatetrace.org. I hope that it's a resource that each one of you can use to help measure your progress toward net zero. Because make no mistake, we have no time left to waste. The decisions you make today will shape the world we leave for future generations. It is our moral and ethical responsibility to address the climate crisis head on, to safeguard our planet and preserve the future of humanity. I encourage you right now to double down on this critical and urgent work. Look for opportunities to collaborate. You don't have to do it all, and you certainly do not have to do it alone. So please allow me to leave you with a source of hope that I have, which is a piece of knowledge that comes from the IPCC that hasn't received as much attention as their urgent and dire warnings of what would happen if we fail to act. What would happen if we do act? Well, that's what's so exciting, because according to the latest scientific evidence and the latest models, once we reach true net zero, the temperatures worldwide will stop going up in as little as 3 to 5 years, almost immediately. And even better, if we can stay at true net zero, fully half of the human-caused CO2 will have fallen out of the atmosphere in as little as 25 to 30 years. So just as we had the capacity as humans to massively disrupt our planet's ecological system, including the climate system, we also have the capacity to fix that crisis. We have the solutions we need to massively cut greenhouse gas pollution in short order, and if we implement them, we can start the healing process. That's what energizes me to continue fighting for progress each and every day. I hope the same will be true for all of you. And a final word, if you ever doubt for 1 second that we as human beings have the capacity to muster the sufficient political will to act, please remember, political will is itself a renewable resource. Thank you.
I'll take it back from you, Thomas. Thank you so much, and thank you to all our opening speakers, and obviously very much to that very special message that we just received that in itself was truly encouraging and hopeful for us to really get into action and get to work. So before we do that, you do have a bit of a coffee break to strengthen yourselves. And then just to announce how we're going to proceed today, we have 2 slots for breakout session. One is now happening in the morning and one in the afternoon. The way how to go forward with this is you don't need to register for any of the breakout sessions, but your best friend for those 3 days will be the app. In the app, you can go through all the sessions. We have 10 to 11 sessions in parallel. So yes, the FOMO will be real, but don't worry, we also have note takers, so you can also check out all the sessions afterwards. The breakout sessions are organized according to 8 thematic tracks that range from monitoring, evaluation, learning, to democracy, finance, governance, technology, so lots for you to pick from. And there are also 21 interactive stands in the exhibition and catering area, so I think you're all going to have a lot to do in the next hours. Please go to the app to pick and choose. You also find the floor plan there, so you should be able to also find your way throughout those hours. And with this, I would say enjoy your coffee break, enjoy the breakout sessions, make sure to meet a lot of new people, to exchange and to mingle and learn from each other, and we see each other here again back in the afternoon. Have a good day and see you later. Hello, 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 and welcome back to our last session of today. It's good to see you all again. I understand you have spent your day in breakout sessions. And there's probably a lot of sitting in the breakout sessions as well. So maybe let's start this afternoon session with getting up. Good. Grabbing your stuff. Grab your bag or grab whatever else you have. And now you take it and you move 1 row further to the front or you fill up one of the empty seats that is a bit closer to your neighbor. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to get here at. You know, the later the day, the further away you are from me, and I feel so distant and lonely up here. So I really invite all of you to just come a bit closer to the front. Yes, exactly. Just come together. We're one big family here. All right. Okay, you can sit down back again. But maybe once more, just give your shoulders a bit of a roll and just do a light stretch to see that you're actually still up, still awake here. All right, all right. Just to quickly check, is there anyone who wasn't in a breakout session now? I saw a lot of people who were like in meetings and stuff. No, most of you were in breakout sessions. Okay, great. Did you speak to someone that you didn't know before? Give me a show of hands. Cool. Sounds like you're very social. Do you still remember their name? Less hands. All right, maybe try to ask that next time. Did you connect with them already? LinkedIn, WhatsApp? Yes, this is what we are supposed to do here. Great. And maybe just to see how good were the breakout sessions for you? Like, how connected was it to your work? Give me a quick show of hands as well. Down here is like not that much connected to my work, but still nice. Up here is a bit more like, yeah, you know, I could probably use some of this. And then up here is like, this is actually Tuesday afternoon. I'm done with my work because I feel like I have so much. Okay, good. Yeah, oh, right. Okay, good. Okay, and maybe just an energy check as well, just to see how we're generally doing. Like 4 o'clock in the afternoon is always a difficult spot. Again, just a show of hands. Like down here, after the breakout sessions, you engaged so much that you're completely exhausted now. Then somewhere here is like, yeah, you did run between several breakout sessions, so you did your sports, you're more or less energized. And up here is somewhere like, you had the aha moment of your life, you feel enlightened after those breakout sessions, the energy is going through the roof. Where do you find yourself? Okay, it's like I can see most of you like here. It's like, oh, right, we're really going to try to boost the energy level up with this last session of the day here, and I'm very happy that you're joining us for this. In this next session, we're going to talk about how to advance climate action locally. And for this, we want to really spotlight 3 cities who are putting climate city contracts into action, and they're pioneering solutions. They're doing that with early stage implementation, securing investments, collaboration, and leveraging tools like procurement to turn climate ambition into delivery. And I just want to remind you of the 3 things that we mentioned today in the morning, why we're here: to celebrate, to innovate, and to step into action. And the speakers who we're going to have on stage here from those 3 different places, we really want to make sure that we celebrate them and that we show them appreciations for the things that they're going to talk about. And here's one thing that I would like to show you how we can do that. You know, sometimes when someone speaks on a stage and you actually really agree or you appreciate what they're saying, you don't want to interrupt with clapping because it's a bit loud. So I would like to introduce something else to you. Who can do this? Doesn't that sound beautiful? Just listen to that again. Just do it again. Doesn't it sound like a bit of a rain? I love it. So I invite you, whenever you hear something in the presentations that you're going to experience right now, that you agree and that you be like, you know, I want to show that. Just go with a little snap. Okay. Innovate. When you hear those presentations, really think about how that connects to your city. Innovation is always putting things together that haven't been put together before. So whatever you hear now, put it together with your city and think about what it means to you. And step into action. Whatever you hear now, just take it in and make sure that you really understand all of it. And if there is any question that comes up for you, just hold it, because at the end of the session, we also want to have a bit of time for your questions to make sure you can really make the most out of this and step into action in your respective places. All right, and with no further ado, I would say let's step into those city examples, and it's my great pleasure to welcome on stage to talk about cross-city cooperation on CCCs, representing the 5 mission cities from Poland. Please welcome Grzegorz, Grzybczyk, and Katarzyna Jimczak-Pomianowska.
Hello, everyone. Yes, we are representing 5 Polish cities, which are Kraków, Łódź, Wrocław, Warszawa, and Rzeszów. And we would like to tell you about our cooperation and beautiful friendship, in fact. So, in the beginning, there was nothing but cities striving to combat climate change. Each working separately, but the spirit of competition, rather more than cooperation, was very tangible, and I think that you know that. Each city had its own plans, ambitions, but it acted with limited support on the city, regional, national, and international level. However, 5 Polish cities all came up with the same idea in the same time to join the initiative of European Commission, which was Cities Mission for 100 climate neutral and smart cities in perspective of 2030. It was a real booster for us because from the very beginning we decided to cooperate and to work together. I think that maybe some of us remember the exercise that Katarina suggested us during the first kickoff with thumbs. It was, maybe I will show it. It was very inspiring for us not to compete, but to cooperate. And that time we have shared challenges, tasks, aspirations and ambitions. We created our coalition of 5 Polish cities, and we shared not only our knowledge and experience, but also successes and setbacks. During hard work on joint climate initiatives, we forged true dream team and true relationship and friendship between all of us. And telling the truth, transition map was for us nightmare. But that time appeared our awesome city advisors, Justyna and Ania. Without us, we weren't here. And big claps for us. Big claps and heart, yes. You have to know that Ania and Justyna weren't our first city advisors. We're fighting for special city advisors for us. And thanks to you, we are here and we'll be able to celebrate tomorrow.
Thank you. Yes, I remember exactly the exercise with thumb wrestling. It was really something not only for physical activity, but also for thinking how to cooperate. So, Kasia, you're right. And of course, from my side, also greetings and thank you. Big thank you for our advisors, for your help, for your support. But going back to our story, the working on contracts intensified, almost all the time, meetings, winter and summer school, cooperation with city advisors, stakeholders, building comprehensive documents and all that transition teams, working with business, with academia, with NGOs. So many things to do. And of course, Teams was our friend and summer and winter school. But you know, it was good that we were cooperating with our teams and with other cities. Because together, working together, not only we develop our climate city contracts, but managed to prepare and submit and realize our pilot project, which is called NEST. And it's a project for our 5 cities, Polish cities, and also the National Center for Research and Development. And, well, the project is realized in 5 districts in 5 cities. And I must say that going through all that activities, we felt the support of European Commission. So, in our opinion, European Commission is key player in the process, and of course we are still counting on support of our ideas because it's vital to what we plan to do, and to keep the gentle pressure of country governments, because it's also something very, very helpful. Here on the photo you can see the moment of signing the memorandum with Polish Ministry of Climate and Environment for all cities president. And for us, it's just the beginning. You know, we develop climate city contracts. We are proud of those documents, but we are fully aware that still huge amounts of work are ahead of us. And the most important thing in the process is that we don't feel alone, right? We are working together, we have network of cooperation, we feel supported, and we think that it's the beginning of beautiful friendship. So thank you very much for your attention.
And in fact, we wanted to put this photo in the beginning, but Grzegorz was a little bit worried about it because, you know, let's show ourselves as professionals. But in fact, when you like each other, when you have friends among your workmates, you like spend time also like that, and we wish you the same situation, the same wonderful photos. And Polish friends, show yourself to others, because we are a big group here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, we did say that this should be all about real human connection, so I think also seeing how you build your friendships throughout that project is a beautiful thing. And if you have any further questions, you're both staying here for our Q&A afterwards, so we can also have a bit of a conversation afterwards. And from building collaborations, cooperations, and friendships, we move on to another topic that's also quite crucial in most of our projects, which is the topic of funding. So how to attract climate investments? We will have a representative of the Climate Leadership Coalition partnering with Espoo from Finland, and I ask you to welcome on stage Seni Raunio. Make your way up.
Okay, yes, here we go. Dear colleagues, I am here to challenge you to think strategically that how can you attract climate investments, especially the private investments, to your cities. I work in a Climate Leadership Coalition, which is the largest climate business network in Europe. And we bring together approximately 100 Northern European actors. And together we think of how to systemically mitigate the climate change. And we believe in market-based mechanisms, and that the transition is economically viable and financially possible. We have members who are private sector companies, but also cities and universities, research institutions, and so on. Both cities and companies play a crucial role in achieving net zero world aligned with the Paris Agreement. Right now, we are exceeding the 1.5 degree target, at least in the short term. It remains to be seen if this actually becomes permanent. But this is a real wake-up call to the world. Johan Rockström, the renowned climate scientist, has described this as a critical planetary boundary, not just an arbitrary number. You are in key positions in regards of this. Collaboration between cities and the private sector can help us get back on track with climate targets. I know this isn't easy, but luckily we are all in this together. We can have, and we already have, some of the best and brightest minds tackling this challenge. Working within a network of public and private actors has taught me that there is actually a lot of motivation in regards of this. However, motivation isn't enough. We also need the money. Like in everything else in this world, we need money to halt the emissions and make the innovation possible. Today we face what is called climate finance gap, the gap between the funds available and what is needed. The demand for investment is vast, and I'll focus today especially on the private investments, since that is actually what we are focusing on. By 2030, the EU needs approximately additional 520 billion euros to reach its targets. 520 billion. In 2023, 95 billion was invested, which was already a lot, but not enough. And of course, we know that there are these uncertainties. There are wars, there's political instability, there are new kinds of distrust among all allies. But I'm an optimist, so I believe that this is also an opportunity. If you look at the EU, the clean transition has advanced significantly. In 2024, like Al Gore also said today, 47% of the electricity in EU came from renewable sources. That's an incredible achievement for a continent where just 5 years earlier, 2020, only 22% was from the renewable sources. So in 5 years, we have actually doubled this number. And it's not just Europe, it's also China. China last year invested over $940 billion in clean energy, which is almost the same what we globally invested in fossil fuels. So there are many reasons, of course, for this shift, but what I want to say is that actually the demand for the sustainable solutions and the clean transition is advancing in all sectors, not only in energy. Now, if we go back to this 520 billion investment need in Europe, all that money will go somewhere. And you, as city people, a city representative, have the opportunity to ask that how can some of this money come to your country, your city? Companies will invest and innovate, but cities are the ones who enable this. I argue that both public and private sector will benefit from this change. So together with City of Espoo, we've been working in a project called Espoo Climate Community. In this initiative, we brought together companies, public actors, researchers to explore the ways how to create investment-friendly ecosystems. You might wonder that why we started doing this. It was mainly because the Espoo had a need to better understand that what kind of additional actions they can take to reach their own climate targets in emission-intensive industries of energy, transportation, and construction. And at the same time, across all these sectors, we need the systemic thinking in solving this solution. So I think that, or I claim that for many cities, these sectors are challenging when it comes to these targets, and at the same time, there is a lot of competition between the cities for the innovations. And I realized this when I discussed back in Finland with an investor who made the first, or who built the first green hydrogen plant in Finland. He made this investment into a small city in the western Finland, and I asked him that, why did you go there? Like, it's like a small city there. There must be some reasons why exactly that one. And he just looked at me and he said that, well, I just discussed with the city or the municipality. And actually, they told me that what other companies are there, what companies I can collaborate with, and how does this benefit me or our company? And I was like, really? Like, is this like all it took? Well, of course, there were other factors, we all know that. But at the same time, what he really wanted was transparent communication with the municipality. That conversation was really an eye-opener to me, and I dare to say to us in Espoo, or in our project with Espoo. So we started wondering what other things are there, what we should take into account. And this is how we decided to create a climate investment framework for cities in our project. And we wanted to identify these barriers and the opportunities for the investments. And this framework will be launched during this year in Espoo in September. This actually, you can check it out from this QR code. And we can also send you material out of the investment framework when it's ready. But we can also share the invitation to all of you, because you are, of course, welcome, always welcome to Espoo and to Finland. The benefits for clean investments are clear for the cities, and they go well beyond the climate, from increased tax revenues and job creation to more intangible gains, like financing the city's enhancing the city's profile as a climate action leader, but it's also a powerful way to support biodiversity and nature conservation, which in turn benefits citizens' health and quality of life. I personally also believe that we actually have a moral responsibility to act. But I think that the cities need a strategic vision for building these innovation ecosystems and efficient internal processes, such as streamlined permitting. This is something that companies really want. And it's essential to secure a social license to operate and build dynamic mechanisms that support entire value chain. So what do the companies want? What other things they want? You can't really change your city's location, but you can influence almost everything else. You can improve infrastructure, create partnerships, support collaboration, and work with citizens to foster trust and acceptance of new investments. Many of these efforts are mutually enforcing, which is why I strongly encourage cities to embrace strategic ecosystem thinking. During our project, the business leaders highlighted things like the availability of land, streamlined permitting, like mentioned already, and a visible ecosystem they can see themselves part of. Some even said that they want that the cities ask more of them. They want to see themselves as part of innovation ecosystems and those who are ambitious with their own targets. They don't want less, they want more. I can go on, or I could go on, the time is running out, but I'm happy to discuss this more, especially over the drinks also. But I'll disclose this by encouraging you all to begin the shift of thought, this shift via thought leadership and improved communication. Don't just ask what companies can do for you so that you can reach your own climate targets. Ask what you can do for the companies so that they actually want to come to your city. Let's build ecosystems that can get us back in track with Paris Agreement. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the encouragement and for making us understand the perspective of companies a bit better. And we are moving on to one final example, which has an official title, which is the procurement power from zero to hero, and a bit of a humble subtitle, which is learning from the champions. Please welcome on stage from Košice, Slovakia, Miso Hudak.
Well, I understood my role that after a long day I have to finish you off and knock you off. So maybe it will be about procurement, maybe not. I will watch Anna all the time, and if she will give me the signal, I will start talk about procurement. maybe not, maybe you will see. I will have question in the end. I will meander and I will talk different layers, and maybe you will, in the end, you will know more, or maybe you will know less about my city, Košice. And I will ask you if you get less or more. So I was told that I can speak about anything. So I was preparing like what is happening in North America and States, mainly playoff of NHL. Many Scandinavian cities from Norway and from Sweden, you are usually spend a lot of time during the night watching your favorite players. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about my city, about city of Košice on the eastern part of Slovakia, 1 hour from Ukraine, Slava Ukraine. Like that. I will tell you a story of my city. I was born there. I never left it. I was raised there. I will speak with a lot of passion and sometimes with emotion, but I want to tell you about several transformations that we did in the last 15 to 20 years. And what we use as a main engine, how we did these transformations. So as you can see on my slides, it's a beautiful city. It's 250,000, amazing, second best after New York in the world. In 2008, we get a title, European Capital of Culture, which supposed to be in 2013. So we had 5 years to prepare ourselves and absolutely change our mindset towards really specific and abstract topic, which was culture. So we start to be brutally honest to ourselves. Like, we don't know like nothing about that. We have zero competencies, zero money, and anything was zero and low on resources. So we start to be super curious how other cities were doing such a big project. Because this project is about infrastructure, it's transformation of mindset, and so on and so on. So we start to be curious and traveling all around Europe and asking SN, how did you work on your European Capital of Culture? We get to Graz, how you work on that. We went to many cities, Liverpool and so on and so on. What we were witnessing, it was on our brutal like honesty and brutal curiosity, there was like brutal openness. All the cities were absolutely keen to share all the details. So in 5 years, we were able to manage it somehow. It wasn't the best ever, but from what we started, like from zero, we didn't get to hero. Okay, we are still on the midway. We found out that there are so many champions in Europe around the world that they are keen to share. So we start to learn from them. And in 2019, I was appointed by our new mayor. We want to do the same, but with a green transformation. So again, we were brutally honest to ourselves. We have like zero preparation, we have zero documents, zero strategies, no budgeting, no investment pipeline. So again, we start to thinking what we are going to do. So we start with the European Green Capital application. And again, we found out, oh, we are like underdogs, you cannot imagine. So we went to Oslo, to Lisboa, to Ljubljana to ask. We were super curious, and again, on the other side, there was like super big openness of sharing of everything. Oslo will be mentioned again today because they are champions in many ways for our perspective of Košice or Central Europe. So we learned a lot. Like, we have to invest again into the planning, into the people, networking whatsoever. And now it's 2025, and I'm standing here. You probably can imagine that I don't have any specific education in green transformation and such topics. And still, I'm here because I was curious, I was honest to what we are doing, and we learn on like both way of openness and sharing. We found out that a year ago, 2 years ago, we found out like now we can say we are somehow prepared. I have to say that because of Anna Huttunen, we are like that prepared because she was like pampering us absolutely and opening for us all the doors. And there is like specific lady, Adriana. She's probably working on the things that she needs to work in Košice, but she's here and working. Adriana, still? No, she's like typing. So with such people who are dedicated, who are open, brutally honest, and brutally curious, we established a team that are now like holding like big portfolio of projects, big portfolio of investments. And we found out another topic. And now I'm going to the procurement. Maybe you will see the connection, maybe not. I don't know. We found out that in the last 15 years, we did everything with passion, with emotion, with curiosity, honesty, and openness. But it was always like that part, that bit, that let's say, old swimming pool. But there was no systemic approach, because it was mainly done because we were passionate about our city. So we found out that we are missing crucial point, not only for us, and I agree with Espo, that you have to work with your environment and with your partners, with your stakeholders, not even in the city, but in the whole region. We need to set up, and we are setting up, some like basic baseline or manual how we are going to work with our city, all of us. And we found out that we are like missing those rules. And those rules for us is procurement. Because we found out that procurement is not only the final like challenging the market. It's everything that I mentioned till now is like in 2008 when we started. We started to work on procurement, like what we want to achieve with the buildings, what we want to achieve with the mindset, how we want to plan the city, how we want to create master plan. And only now we found out that we worked all the time on procurement, all the parts of procurement that are necessary to be in a best available framework, so in the end you can procure well. And this is why we, again, as we found out that we are missing this, we partnered with the champion, with Oslo. Sophie, where are you? No, she's not here. No, everybody is like leaving. So Sophie from Oslo and Mari from Oslo, from Climate Office of Oslo, they provide for us something specific. They show us the way of Oslo, or story of Oslo, how they started. So we now not learning from Oslo of 2025. We are starting to learn from Oslo from 2012 or 2017. And I would say from zero, for us, zero is like 2007, 2008, when we started thinking, working, and maybe dreaming differently about our city. It's still midway. It's not going to happen in decade. It's always like 30 years. This is one learning that I found out, that some of our work we are not going to see in our lives. This is really like nice, and I would say like enlightening, because you don't have to like be pushy and whatsoever. But after so much work and so much, let's say, advancing, we still see potential. So in 15 years we didn't fulfill it. We still can do more. We can add more. We can work more on creating better home for my daughter, for my wife. And yes, you know less or more about the Košice right now, because it was mainly my personal story. You can, no, if yes or if no, you can do this. So we found out that procurement is not like single point of what we can do as a public body. It's a pinnacle of the really multi-layered approach, coming from absolute bottom and coming from sometimes from 15 years ago. And we need to still have to rebuild some things. And oh, this 000 is blinking like for 5 minutes, I suppose. Okay. Oh, I was told that there will be timer here, and timer is here, and I cannot see it from this angle. So yes, it was my personal story of my personal approach to my city, and Anna, I hope that you will never ask me to talk in front of people again. I hope that you enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for deciding to actually talk about Košice in the end, and for your brutal honesty. Thank you to all four of you for sharing your stories. And I invite you to actually see if you have any questions that you would pose to our speakers right now. And I'm going to give you a second until we gather the mics so you can actually come up with your questions. Before we do that, I think one question that I have, I was listening to all of your stories and I was wondering, since we said this is also supposed to be a celebratory mood right now, what are you most proud of? What is it that you actually feel you want to celebrate yourselves for?
So we said a little bit about it. First of all, we are proud of ourselves that we completed our climate city contracts. It was not easy because we don't have good examples before that. When we wanted to cooperate with some consulting companies or even academia, they also didn't have enough knowledge and experience to help us, or it was very expensive and we couldn't afford it. So helping each other and with support of our city advisors, again, we did it, and this is big success. We are proud that we have broad picture. What are the emissions and who contributes and how much, because that way we can address specific challenges and tasks and investments, and now it's easier to negotiate, especially with national government, because in my city, in Wrocław, national companies are responsible for most of emissions that come from energy and heating sector, and we cooperate with them in a very constructive way, and I'm also very proud of it because in perspective of 2028, the source of heating for Wrocław will be transformed, and the city of Wrocław cooperate with the national company, and I think this is a big advantage of all this period.
Okay, and
I can hear a few of the snaps. It wasn't taking up that much, but I can hear them.
I also feel proud that we changed typical Polish competition between cities into cooperation. Mm-hmm. It's something great, and today, in the beginning of our meeting, there was a good phrase that alone you can go far, fast, but together you can go far. And I have this impression that together we went far and fast, so benefit. Thank you.
And I love it that that was also inspired by the thumb wrestling that we did quite a while ago. Seni.
Yeah, if I can continue. Actually, from the same topic in a way, I am very proud of our collaboration with the city of Espoo. I hope they are also proud of that. We actually have been able to go through, first of all, they provided us a lot of data of their emissions and their climate actions and all of that, and then the investments, and we looked into investment in general, what are coming to Finland and all of that. And then we brought together to 3 different workshops, we brought together like dozens of people from private sector across all these 3 emission-intensive sectors, and then also from the city's side, the city company actors and city actors, and also researchers from the university side and all of that. So, and it was fun because when we organized the first workshop, and we were all like a bit astonished that there were like so many people who wanted to join this particular workshop, and then we discussed with our colleagues in Espoo that okay, maybe some of them will not come. It's always typical that some of them just like will not come. And then eventually what happened was that the companies, they actually, like if somebody got sick, they asked that, oh, I cannot come, but can I send this colleague? So they really wanted to join this discussion. And I think this is something that we can, take as an encouragement also, all of us, because these kind of dialogues between the cities and the companies are very important and really very wanted, at least in Espoo or in Finland have been. I also know that other cities in Finland have been fostering similar sessions or similar discussions with the companies. So I think I'm very proud of the effort that we have been able to pull together within or in the Mission City project.
Thank you. Miso, no reason to be humble now.
Yeah, my personal achievement is I'm always really proud if I make Anna Huttunen do the palm face all the time, like
yeah,
that,
right
like
now.
that. No, but maybe you're asking about the city. We established, since European Capital of Culture, we got like really deep ecosystem of partners. And we found out that this is absolute necessary thing to have in a city. And ecosystems sometimes even include church when we are talking about land use and so on. And we were able in last years to expand those circles, like from the working with locals or working in the European level. Like I can really honestly can call to Warsaw or Valencia or to Villa, to Espoo, and we can have like really quick exchange on topics that we are not good at, but we can have like immediate like feedback of what we are doing. Maybe it doesn't have to work right now, but if you build up, it will work in 4 years, and this we never had. So now we have more confidence, I would say, to do major steps. Also asking for like bigger projects, bigger funding, and I think this confidence is coming from the network of your people that are supporting you institutionally with the skills, but also with experience. Like, oh, you don't have to be afraid because we were in your position years ago, smaller office, but we did it. And when you have this justification of, like, in the end, they implement like big 15 million euros of concrete somewhere, you knew that it's possible. It's not like somewhere like it potentially could be done. No. Someone just prove it, and since then, everybody can make it.
I'm moving my gaze towards you again, just to check if we have any questions from the audience, because this is the time for you to pose your questions. And I see a question here in the second row. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, there's the mic.
Thank you. I have a question from the Polish representatives. You mentioned the cooperation among cities. I didn't hear too much about cooperation with the national government, and I was just wondering, was there anything significant you did get over the last number of years in your journey so far, or was there anything you didn't get that you would have liked to have got from national government by way of support? Thank you.
Because it's complicated.
Next question.
Okay, we are in constant contact with Polish government. We are trying to do our best, working together with ministries, especially Ministry of Climate and Environment. We have regular meetings. We are working with them. The only problem is that we don't feel that it really moves us forward. But so we are still waiting for the breaking point. But of course, we believe that this cooperation is crucial, can be very, very fruitful, because actually we as self-governments, we are realizing the things that main government is obliged by the international agreements, right? So we are doing their job. So we need support, and I believe we are on good way to do so. Yeah.
And we do have memorandum of support, so this was the starting point. But in fact, our national government doesn't feel that we need some innovation in their attitude. That's why we're underlining during our speech that this let's say, the pressure from the European Commission and from international level on national level is so important because we are meeting the same goals. As Grzegorz said, we are doing the job for the national government, and we do believe that helping us will draw another cities, not only Polish cities, but cities from the whole Europe. But helping us will help each other. And one more thing, during this whole period, we didn't have tangible incentives, tools to draw stakeholders. Only the declaration of having mission label, and that will help us to gain extra financial or some tools, procedures. So we do need it. Now we need real support and real regulations, quick paths for us, for those cities, from tomorrow on 29 cities, to move towards climate neutral cities.
Is there anything you would like to add from a Finnish or a Slovakian perspective on that question?
Yeah, well, I cannot say from the point of view of the city of Espoo or other cities, but I can say from our network point of view, like the whole reason why we exist is to collaborate or like discuss with the governments, but especially the European Commission. And I think these levels are important to also remember when we take these things forward, because if you think of, for example, permitting processes or national legislation or EU legislation, that is also something that really influences, for example, the investment decisions. So in that way, for example, for us, we always try to kind of push them to do more ambitious climate policies, so that actually these investments or the innovations can happen, and it should also be very consistent. So it doesn't help us or anyone if we set up targets and then 5 years later we go back from these targets, because the companies are doing investments like to 50 years or 70 years or whatnot, like very long-term investments. So we should all demand for consistent policies, both from the national levels, but also from the European Union.
I will add something shortly. Sure. Brutally honest answer is no, of course. I'm coming from the country that is turning back to EU. And I would like to say it's necessary to not see EU as a default or by design, because sometimes it can like go away. It's not given for forever. So I need to say it because I think all of us taking EU as something standard. For us, without EU, without European Commission, without net zero cities, without mission, we won't be here. Like it's like that. State is not present in, especially in decarbonization and climate neutrality. I have to say it because it could happen anywhere. It already happened in European Parliament. It's happening in member states. We need to start to see these things, decarbonization and climate neutrality, everything connected with energy and so on, also as a security. We cannot see just like the, fueling our economies. We have to start to speak about sustainability of our democracy and those things that we still think like every day we will wake up and it will be there. No, it doesn't have to be. I'm coming from the country where it's disappearing day by day. Please be careful about that.
Just checking quickly, we would probably have time for one more question. I see one hand over there.
Hi, thank you very much for sharing your experience. I'm wondering if you have any thought or how is your experience when dealing with those internal tensions, for example, when communities oppose to some investments and to those kind of partnership. I'm thinking in wind farms or solar farms, when some communities react against those projects and those investments. So how cities can manage those tensions?
We're probably going to have to make it short answers, but I feel like you already...
Okay, yeah, I can say something. That is, of course, that's difficult, and that is something that we have been going on over a lot in our project and in the discussions as well, because also for companies, this is something that they want to kind of ensure that there is social acceptance to these projects. And personally, I would say that it's really difficult to achieve this in everywhere. In Finland, I can only speak for Finland. In Finland, we have these discussions also for just transition, because many of these climate investments, they go to the western side of the country because of the geographical conditions. And then the east side is not necessarily the best place, for example, the wind farms and so on. At the same time, in the east, there has been a lot of peat production, for example, that is not going to be... It's not sustainable, and probably there will be a moment when there is not more peat production. So there are a lot of discussions about that also within the entrepreneurial communities, that what should they do then if their livelihood disappears, of course. For us, it comes down a lot about the economic opportunity discussion. There is some economic challenges in our country, probably in many other countries as well. So this is more like the discussion of the opportunity and the balance with that. At the same time, you have to find the fine line with really, how do you say it, taking into account, for example, the individual, indigenous people and their land rights and all of that. But then at the same time, there is discussion for the safety issues, for example, like you also mentioned here, and the security solutions. We have also been discussing this more, that, okay, if there is a moment when some kind of, let's say, some kind of machinery is not needed anymore, can these companies, for example, produce something related to safety or the energy or so on? So kind of shifting from those discussions where the livelihood is threatened to more towards the opportunity. And then, of course, I understand that for cities, it's more to discuss with the citizens that how can they accept that. But I don't have any magical answer to this. I would just encourage you to kind of have the transparent discussions with the citizens, but also with the companies and other actors, and really kind of try to involve all the stakeholders.
And good thing that we're not looking for magical answers, but really just for your sharings. And I think what I would like to round it up with is that one thing I've really heard in all of your stories is that you've all focused very much on building relationships and really speaking to humans. And one element that stands out for me there is also that element of trust. Like, how do you build trust amongst stakeholders who might have very different interests? So maybe we can just round it up with that. What is your tip on what to focus on to really build and maintain trust, specifically with people who might have completely different interests?
I would say trust and understanding. Understanding what for, because there is the question of going out of the sphere of comfort to change something. And when people understand for what, for money, for security, for health, for environment, they are ready to make up decision, their own decision. And for me, this is the clue.
Thank you.
I would say just what we are trying to do is to explain. It doesn't matter if it's a group of 5 inhabitants or 5 major companies or 5 kids in a middle school. What we learn, we have to repeat ourselves how the cities works. How the cities works and what is the main challenges of the cities and what we can do and how cities works. And we're doing it on like city walks, in the schools, with the stakeholder arenas, but we constantly have this in our mind. It's never enough. It's always nice to have one extra more meeting, one extra more something to explain all the time in circle.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I kind of just like I agree with you also about the benefits. Like really go to the conversation where people would really understand that what are the benefits, because they go so much further than just the climate benefits. They are the economic factors, the job creation, and all of that shift in education, all talent.
Yeah, but those words are nothing in a like daily like life of the citizens. So what we are like. Also, I was fighting on seasonal schools here in Net Zero cities, like co-benefits first and then benefits. Like no one cares about Excel sheets of the city if we cut out, I don't know how many million tons of CO2. No one cares about that. They care about if their kids are safe on the street, if the school is open till evening, or if these fees for this service is not going up. They are really caring only about that. So we have to get back to the reality and to the field, like it's like that.
Thank you. Grzegorz, do you want to close it off?
I just agree with former speakers, really. So yeah, that's the crucial thing.
So thank you so much to the four of you for sharing and explaining and showing us the passion that you're bringing to your cities and that you brought here as well. Thank you so much to the four of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if I may add, at 5 there will be Ukrainian cluster big meeting. So all of you who want to help Ukrainian cities, let's meet there after this. Thank you.
Wonderful. Starting with the announcements already, I take that as my catchword as well to give you a few more announcements on what's going to happen today during the evening. And one of the things is actually that I want to announce the public transport that can bring you back to the city center. And that brings me to something else. One more thing, since we were talking so much about appreciation here today. One thing that we want to appreciate is that we actually have a special group who came from the Dutch cities, all by public transport, and I want to make sure that we actually give them a round of applause for that. And I want to invite them on stage to briefly just tell them a bit about the journey. Here are Martin and Anne. Yeah, they all work. Please just go ahead.
Okay, so we're not going to take up a lot of your time, but we believe that we all have to practice what we preach. So that is why 13 people from the Dutch delegation came here by train, and we took a shuttle. I heard the Finnish people also try to travel in a sustainable way. So kudos to you. We actually had a great trip. On one day we went to Warsaw. So yesterday we had a great inspirational meeting at the city of Warsaw. So thanks for that. And we want to encourage all of you to also start traveling more sustainably.
Yes. I can't do the snapping either, and I think most of you can't. I think there's three main things. First, we know there's a lot more people that travel sustainably or try to, whether you managed or not. Thank you, that's great. Two, I think we had a great day. I think we might already be thinking about the conference next year. Let's try a meetup, work together, share tips, and get as many people to the next destination in a sustainable way as possible. And three, really explicitly, I ask, I think we all do, Net Zero Cities to help us walk the talk. There's a whole year of planning ahead. It would be great if Net Zero Cities could facilitate us, help us get information, maybe create hubs so we can travel together, learn, and make next year's conference even more sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you so much for walking the talk, or rather taking the bus and the train. The buses are also the means to take you back to the city center. They are going to leave now, I think, and then at 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. And also just to make sure that you all know you can use public transport for free throughout the 3 days of the conference. In the app, you find a QR code for that you just have to show in case you get controlled. You don't even have to show that to the bus driver. So I think that's also a beautiful way to really make use of the public transport here in Vilnius. And with that, I would say let's officially close the first day of the Cities Mission Conference 2025. And now let's go to the more informal part where you've already been invited to some of the meetings, or just mingle, make sure to meet new people, ask for their name, connect, remember their name, come back tomorrow. We now have drinks until 7 o'clock. I wish you a wonderful evening. See you all again tomorrow. Bye.